Let's talk today, Westover, about something that I love to mention, and that's you've been the honcho at Westover for a long time, since it began. So since you began. And so now you have other attorneys that you work with, and so on and so forth, and staff comes along with that,
Sure.
and all that fun stuff. So what's your temperature, knowing that your staff might watch this? What's your temperature on holidays?
In the office?
Yeah.
So what do we do with them traditionally? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like how do you keep the you know, everybody that works there, that culture that you have is pretty unique. I really like who you've got over there. I mean, they're fantastic. And so you must do something.
So I think it's twofold. The credit goes to my office manager, Patricia, who's been with me for basically since the beginning. I think.
Yeah, I don't remember a day without
8 months into me starting my own firm, you know, doing the grind by myself. I hired her, and that was the best hire I ever made. And so she runs the culture. So she's the office manager. So as far as the culture goes, I create it, but she enforces it. And by that, I mean, as far as specifically holidays, if, for example, today we have a birthday lunch for somebody, we always take out the person that has the birthday. They can choose to work or not, and they get that day paid. And then we choose their restaurant, and they eat, and they get it paid for, and the whole office benefits from that. And then tomorrow.
Okay, hold on before we go on to tomorrow.
Okay.
Bergie, can you mute that so our staff doesn't see that part of things? Sure. Somehow, some way, let's just make that one disappear. All right, so what do you got going on tomorrow?
So then tomorrow we have our office Worksgiving is what they call it. Again, I wish that I could take credit for these things, but basically everyone's bringing in a Thanksgiving dish. I get to be the guy that brings in the ham and turkey because I'm the apparently big bucks. But Everybody brings in their side and dish, and we have lots of different cultures, Colombia, Dominican, Mexican, whatever, in the office, and everybody brings in something from their home country or something they like to make.
And you bring in the turkey and ham.
I bring the turkey and ham, and we have a big Thanksgiving dinner.
From the gringo land.
Exactly. Tomorrow. We do that. We do something similar for Christmas. We both go out as a staff to, as an office party, but then we have a lunch in the office. Holidays, Cinco de Mayo, everyone's dressing up, and they bring in their dishes. And
going luchador this year?
Yeah, like I said, I pay for all of this stuff, and they're grateful for it. I don't want to, but really the credit doesn't go to me because I'm not thinking of all these things. I get approached by my office manager to say, let's keep people happy, and I'm always happy to flip the bill. So some of the things I've done, but most of it comes from Patricia to keep the morale up. So.
Yeah, because we work in a tough industry. I mean, and the staff and those
high stress.
Yeah. I mean, we're elbow to elbow with, lives that that are affected in a negative way. And our staff sees that, walks through that with the clients and things of that nature. And it's not just us alone. It's the managerial piece of it is to be able to recognize. And so I noticed a special with what kind of a special brew that you have over there.
Yeah, I've been able to keep employees. That's my, I guess, favorite thing that I've been able to accomplish as far as outside of the legal side of things is just how long my staff spend together.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to them, and hopefully a credit to every time I hire somebody, I say, look, you can go to downtown Phoenix and probably get paid more than you're going to be paid at a small law firm. Not that we pay bad, but what we're going to provide is a work-life balance and a place where you're going to want to come to work. Right. You're not going to get up in the morning and dread coming to work because of the atmosphere that we create. I'm not a punishing boss. Like if you make a mistake, I'm not one to threaten, whatever, yell and scream. They know that what's expected, and I'm usually pretty calm. And I'm also they call me the wizard because I get to, anytime there is a problem, I get to get on the phone, and they seem to go, how do you solve a problem in 2 minutes that I've been trying to talk the client through for 20 minutes? And that may be a unique skill that I have, or just the fact that they're talking to the boss. I don't know what that accredits to, but yeah.
I often wonder that one.
Yeah.
They loosen the pickle jar
Maybe
enough.
Sometimes they get the brunt of it, and I love them for that they get to sometimes deal with the front lines of whatever problem may be happening. But yeah, the culture is, hey, when you go home, I expect you to go home and hang out with your kids and not worry about work. And I had a office assistant, a legal assistant, text me on Saturday and said, hey, I had a client call me on WhatsApp, had a problem in the consulate, so I'm going into work today. Just so you know, if the alarm, if you hear, see the trigger on it, I'm turning it off, and I'm going to be working for a couple hours to help them through. So the cool thing is even when I provide that opportunity to not have to worry about work, I've still got a staff that loves what they do and is willing to go in on a Saturday and open the doors and help a client out.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And I always make sure I reward those people that put in that extra effort as well.
I found as the years trickled by, and from where you're going with this, it feels like you're going to probably agree with what I'm about to say. But as the years have gone by, it's almost more gratifying. Brian, the other day, for example, he's an incredibly good criminal defense attorney. He's huge. He's got a beard. He's 6'6", and he's the teddy bear of the lifetime. But man, when push comes to shove, you want him pulling down those rebounds.
Sure.
He's no joke. I mean, and not to take anything away from, this is just top of mind, not to take anything away from the other criminal defense attorneys. It's just the client comes in weeping and just ecstatic because the result was awesome. But Brian had gone that extra mile to meet with them, like you were saying, on a Saturday, to let them know that their case was dismissed, and he put a ton of effort. I mean, a lot of us put a ton of effort behind this one. But the fact that they appreciated him notifying them over the weekend, so they didn't have another weekend where they're wondering what's what, and am I gonna, be drugging into and drug and thrown behind the concrete wall. But I love to see that extra effort, and I just love to see that gratitude on those clients' eyes. It almost it's better than if you did it.
Yeah, no, and that's building the culture for me has never been. My name's on the firm, I guess, but that's never been like my motivation. I've not been motivated by, hey, how many Westover compliments can I get? In fact, like we have clients, one of our big traditions in the office is when somebody gets their green card or gets their citizenship, we give them a gift bag of like American things, socks and just little things. But we have them come in and we have a photo op with them so that they can take out their green card or their citizenship application, and we post it on our website or Facebook or whatever else. And the clients love to share it and whatever else. But my biggest thing is that a lot of people want to come in and take that picture with me. And sometimes I've had a lot to do with the case, but sometimes I've had very little to do with the case. And my favorite thing is to just say, okay, I'll be in the picture, but I want this legal assistant who was very instrumental in your case. I want them in the picture. I want them to receive gratitude, and not because, again, I think that builds a culture of them feeling personally responsible for the results of good and bad for their successes. And I don't want it to just be, Jesse Westover won a case because sometimes the majority of the work was done by somebody else. Not that the legal work's on my side, but all the meeting with the clients and all the answering phone calls and emails and keeping me up to date with the case, a lot of that credit goes to my staff, and the clients recognize it too. They're super. They seek out that person that was assigned to their case to give them a hug, and they're super appreciative. A lot of times on their reviews, they're mentioning that person specifically
by name, right?
And I think that builds a culture too, to make sure that I'm not coming out and being the hero at the end when really, in reality, there was a lot of pieces involved in it. And so
lawyers take a lot on the chin. We usually post a joke about lawyers as often as we can come across them, which is not very hard to come across. Is it very hard to come across those jokes, boys? Not terribly? And but the interesting thing is the good that is done that really doesn't make it on the front page of the headlines.
Yeah, and you say front page. So we're redesigning our website right now. And the first design came back to me, and it was a classic, and this is not a knock on, because you do a little PI lot, but it was it was a way PI looking website, meaning it was me in my suit with my arms crossed, big old picture of me on the front page of this website.
Do you have horns?
Yeah, I was just like, absolutely not. No. Well, but you're the name on the front. I'm like, absolutely not. I want a team picture of the staff as the first thing that people look at.
Yeah.
And if my picture, it needs to be down on the website. I'm happy to be the name that's behind it, but that's not the culture that we have in the office, nor is it the culture that I want clients to come and see. It's not my big mug bringing people in here. And so, and they took that feedback and they're like, oh, okay, this is a different type of firm. We've done a lot of these, and we can't tell you how many pictures the attorney that owns the firm wants on the webpage.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, that's not me. That's
a little
not
bit
what
ego driven. Yeah, just for maybe or something.
Whatever it is.
But no, you're right though.
And it might be a marketing ploy. I don't know. It's just not my.
It's the capture.
style.
It's the capture of who you are. It's the capture of who we are, for that matter, because it's a team. And if you don't have like a football team, and I'm going to go football, but we could have gone basketball because that's your thing. But if you don't have, let's go basketball. If you don't have somebody rebounding, you don't have somebody boxing out, you don't have somebody, cleaning up. We call them the, garbage duty.
Sure.
Man, those guys are really important to a successful team.
I tryouts. I picked specific kids that were energy or rebounder that couldn't make a layup, but were going to give me other things on the floor. Absolutely, and that's the same thing. Like I said, when that website came out, I was like, in fact, I sent it to my mom. Who's my sounding board sometimes, and I was like, how do you feel about this? And she came back, yeah, it looks good. And I go, give me your honest opinion on what you feel about it. Is it a little pretentious? And she's like, okay, I'm glad you said that. And she's like, yeah, it totally looks, it's not my, it's not your style. And so, that's just not the culture I want to create. And I don't want my office staff to log on to their own, because I want them to have ownership over what they're there. That's why, like I said, I've had employees there for a long time, and they feel like they are Westover law firm. And even though it has my name and it may not have Patricia's name on it, she owns that thing.
Well, I'm going to have to call Patricia, because I'm going to need some ideas.
She's awesome.
I got a good one going today. We're doing, me and Mikey did a podcast a long time ago, and he's the PI guru. I mean, so you mentioned we do PI, and interestingly, on that note, car accidents, people that get injured, and most of the folks that come in here, oddly enough, are kind of hesitant to want to make a claim.
Yeah.
But they feel beat up a little bit by the insurance companies or something.
For sure.
And they're just like kind of ashamed, like doing the walk of shame. And we're like, look,
it's okay.
You're dealing with insurance here. It's the big money wants to shut everybody down and wants to keep as much of it as it can. I get that, but you're in good hands. Mike runs that crew, and we got in this big argument in our podcast. We haven't had an argument yet. We need to work on our first one.
That's true.
We'll work on one. I'm sure when we start talking about Hamas, we'll get into one. He brings up, and I don't know who even eats Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore, but apparently Mike is a big Kentucky Fried Chicken fan.
No Canes, nothing. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
He is a Kentucky Fried Chicken man. And I said, have you not tried Popeyes?
Or any other?
Or any other place that will outdo KFC all day long, twice on Sunday? So we have this debate. And so today is our Thanksgiving, and I like that you guys call it work giving. And Mike's bringing in a bucket of KFC.
Of course. Why?
And I'm bringing in the spicy from Church's down the road. And then I'm cruising over to Popeyes, so I can stay at least in the same level. And apparently we're blindfolding.
Okay.
So
that'll be fun.
Sounds a little scandalous and fun at the same time. We'll see what happens with the blindfolds and all that jazz. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win, but I'm wondering who's going to win over the Churches
and the
Popeyes, because straight chicken to chicken, I don't know which one I would go with. Place that I would go to is Popeyes.
My kids are Kane's like
Oh, yeah,
everybody.
no,
And
Cane's
like,
great.
I mean, it's
It's good. You know, it has a good sauce.
yeah, that's
You
where
know,
they live.
it's not really on my regimen, so I can't eat a whole lot of that
exactly.
stuff.
Fried chicken's not usually a meal that I'm
No,
wanting to
it used to be
digest anymore. But
when I was a little younger fella,
yeah,
but now I'm not burning that off,
That's
and it's going straight to
exactly
the
right.
A1C count, and I'm trying not to become diabetic before I'm 50.
I agree with that.
But I'm getting close in both ways.
The 50 and the
And
A1C.
the A1, right. It's like I'm getting close, and I'm not liking that. So anyway,
Yeah, no, I mean it's interesting that you mentioned that. I mean, I've been proud of what we've built over there. I just had a new attorney come on, and the attorney that was leaving left not because she had another job, but because she had some personal issues at home with one of her kids, and she was trying to be a mom and an attorney, and
That's
she's going
tough.
to do she's going to do some remote work for us, but. I loved when the transition between those two attorneys is that there's nothing but positive of you want to work here and this is great. And
Right.
the attorney comes in with a very excited atmosphere or attitude. And within 2 weeks and this attorney had come over from a competing firm and within a couple of weeks, we got lots of comments from her just saying, this is a different place than where I came from.
and it's okay. So
And most of them were positive. No, all of them were
our
positive.
family law, one of our family law attorneys, Jessica, who's fantastic, comes from a previous employer, and she's fairly young, but she's fairly young, but incredibly seasoned for her age group. Although I'm making it sound like she's a baby right out of law school. She's not, but she's a younger attorney. And Becky, who's been doing this she's my Patricia. Becky has been doing this for 27 years and has trained more lawyers
Yeah.
than you know how that goes. And so she comes to me, and Becky, anybody that knows her, she's a cowgirl. I mean, this girl is not just a cowgirl. She's a horseman. Like, she does the barrel racing thing. She's legit. She's really good at what she does. She's got all the pretty horses and all the fancy stuff.
My daughter's into that right now.
And she's a tough gal. And she comes to me after we did our interviewing process, and we all really liked Jessica. She's great. And Becky pulls me aside about 2-3 weeks after we hired her, and it's been a minute now. And she's like, she's a cowgirl. She's a cowgirl. And in her language, that means
she's
she's
tough.
gonna fly.
Good.
And she has, and exceeded all expectations. She's fantastic. But that ownership of Arizona or the ownership of Westover is what you want the folks here to feel, and the folks there to feel. I mean, it's what you want. I find it far more satisfying when I get that approach from Becky. She's a baller. She's great.
No, and it's funny. I mean, and I'm glad you have your right hand lady, whatever that is, because Patricia's to the point where she can come to me, and sometimes I even tease her and say she's my boss, right? So we have the relationship where she can say, "Hey, this is what needs to happen." She picks her battles on when she approaches me in a, "Hey, can we do this?" or "This needs to happen." I mean, for a long time, I felt like the staff was doing just fine and didn't need staff meetings and training meetings. And she came and said, no, we need to, and we need to cross train, and we need people learn in different areas, and we need to sit down with each other. And so again, that's me providing lunch for everyone, but we do that once a month. And that was something that at first I kind of fought because my lunchtime is my time, and that was selfish on my part. But she kind of said, no, this is needing to be happening, or this needs to happen. And since we've started them, the reaction's been great from the staff as far as getting in there, learning what other people are doing. And then what happened was we started to appreciate what the other people in the office were doing, because sometimes we weren't in their department. And as they cross-trained and kind of learned about the other people's departments, and we gave opportunities for each department to kind of present and teach what they do and hand out and prepare a lesson. And as you probably learn, the more you teach, or when you teach a subject, you tend to learn it better than when you hear it.
Yep.
So they're learning their own stuff and craft a little bit more as they're preparing to teach.
That's smart.
Yeah, we've had some really good success with just getting together once a month. And then sometimes it's just a Q&A where I get to stand at a whiteboard and everybody gets to ask me all the difficult questions of their cases. And I get to walk them through it.
That's a good idea, too.
We've done some cool stuff.
You know what I like about this? Just reminded me. Little tire shop down the road, Gunnels. And it's been there forever. It was over there on Mesa Drive in Maine, and then they moved over there somewhere between Stapley and Gilbert on Maine still. And there's Jeff down there. He's been there forever. Like ever. Since I was...
Little guy.
I wouldn't say little, but 20-ish. He's not much older than I am, so...
So you grew from here to here?
By
kinda,
20
to...
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, about right. It's about right. It's about right. I go in there. I will not go to any other place on the planet because he knows tires. I mean, he eats, sleeps, and drinks tires, kind of like you do immigration work.
Sure.
Eats, sleeps, and drinks tires. But everybody that works for him in that outfit has his same hustle, has his same grind, has his same shakes your hand, looks
That's
you in
cool
the
that
eye.
it's a local business too and not like a big chain. Good.
And so that is why I go there when I'm starving, brand new out of law school, and I'm doing rent law, so I'm doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, do a little bit of this. I hadn't found my grind just yet. He knows that money is an issue. And I had an older vehicle that needed tires. And tires are a big expense when you don't have a whole lot of money. And he calls me the next day after he says, you got about 2,000 or 3,000 miles left on those, man. And I'm like, do you have any takeoffs or anything? You know, any extras laying around? And he calls me the next day. He goes, man, you're not going to believe your luck. And I go, okay. He goes, dude came in and bought a set of 22s literally 2 weeks ago and 22-inch tires. And he decided that he wanted 24s. And so I got these 4 brand new 22s that would fit the exact tire that you run on your car. You want them. And for $400 instead of $1,200 back then, I got all 4, and I was like humbled, like, yeah, thank you. He didn't make a dime on me, but he's made plenty of dimes since because his service is great. And that's what we do at Arizona. That's what you do at Westover. That's why Patricia does these things. And you are very, in it with her. And sometimes she has to grab you by the ear. Sometimes you're like, oh, no, I like this idea too.
Yeah, and it's funny because going out on your own, is tough as it is as an attorney or any business, right? When you start your own business. And I've had lots of colleagues that have worked for immigration firms and have tried to go out on their own. And it just hasn't worked.
Right.
And it wasn't, I don't know if it's a personality thing, if it's you have to sell. I'm a good salesman. You're a good salesman. And so there's a part of it that when you run your own business, whether you're doing legal or anything, you've got to sell yourself. You got to sell what you do, your reputation, whatever else. So maybe it's a little bit of element of just not being comfortable, selling a product. But more than anything else, I think it's that they just don't know how to run a business, don't know how to treat people, don't know how to get people back in the door. I mean, for 10 years, I did zero marketing, like zero.
Right.
I gave out business cards.
Word of
that
mouth.
was it.
Word of mouth.
It was complete word of mouth.
Yeah.
And obviously the community helps doing that because and especially in the Latin community, when you gain their trust, you can have a friend for life.
Yeah.
And they will literally walk somebody into your office and say, no, this
is
is your guy.
Right. And they do.
And so that was helpful, but I also was proud of the fact that we didn't need it. And I even fought it, even the proposal of doing some SEO market or doing some Google ads or whatever else. I was just like, I don't need it. Now, we decided to move into different areas of law that don't travel as well word of mouth. When we do our employments type of stuff, billion-dollar companies, they want to see the online reputation. They want to see, the presence, the websites, whatever else. So we have spent some money, and growth has been, I've been able to hire attorneys because of that growth. So I maybe was stubborn with not doing it for a while, but I was proud of the fact that for a decade, I ran a good business without having to do any extra loans, marketing, whatever else, really no expense out of my pocket and that's a credit to my staff and credit to the culture we built and what we provide.
And you still have that culture. And so the end user, meaning me as the tire buyer or me as somebody that wants an immigration question and or a matter handled, your culture is what I want. That's why I go to Gunnels. That's why Westover's the only place I'll suggest anybody go for immigration. And that's what we continually try to do at Arizona. Anybody that runs a business out there, any type of business, whether it's a popsicle stand or a multi-billion-dollar whatever, the culture ultimately is what, in my opinion, signifies the success down the road, down the river success.
And it's interesting because I'm not expensive. I don't feel like I've heard of lots of immigration attorneys that charge more, but I may not be cheap either. I have no idea. I don't even look. I just feel like
fair.
We're fair and we're providing something I feel like different than, and I know you guys are the same way, that you're going to get out there. You're just not a number for us. And so, again, credit to Patricia and Karina and all these girls. Jasenia, my girls know people when they come in.
Yeah.
Like they know names.
Right.
And I've got literally the volume. Immigration attorneys, if anybody has worked with them or knows them, we are a volume-based business. So we have got to pump people in and out in order to make money. We don't make $20,000 on a client.
Right.
And so in order to do anything, we have got to turn people over. But the biggest problem that comes from that is that you become that number to a lot of firms. Right. And they don't know who you are, and you never see the attorney, and there's no smiles, and it's just come in and get you through. And we try and create that totally different. So we make clients as much as they can. Hey, we don't want you to come and wait in our lobby. So call us up and we will give you an appointment, but you will be our dedicated person at that point, whether it's with an assistant, whether it's with an attorney.
Right.
But we don't want you to just show up. And so we try and make that clear to the clients so that there's not a feeling of, it's on the calendar and you know their names and you're coming out and you've looked at the notes and know that they had a kid born last month and you're going to mention it. I mean, we've had these staff meetings to talk about, hey, you review their notes before you go out there. You know exactly what's going on with the case. If there's something you need to mention, they got a birthday coming up or whatever else, take that extra step.
Yep, that little personal touch. And I think that provides the satisfaction of the employee. They become family.
Yeah.
I mean, we spend as much time with them as we do our own families. And so being part of, it's like that age-old question, is it better to be great or is it better to be part of something great? And it sounds like, to me, my opinion is it's always better to be part of something great because it outlasts you.
Absolutely.
And that's the coolest part of the whole thing. So holidays are coming up. I'm going to get a hold of Patricia to see what you guys got going on. You mentioned a few things. I'm going to need some ideas.
We've done some cool office activities. That's our big kind of get together.
Yeah, I knew it had to come from her.
Yeah. The office parties I'll give my wife a little bit of credit. She's done a lot of that on the Christmas part of things. But yeah, all the little like monthly, Patricia started and I have sat together to, hey, again, how do we up morale? And so, for example, today I'm going to give a gift card and a kind of a recognition to the guy that came in on Saturday, my legal assistant that came in on Saturday.
Yeah,
and she's very, very good at reminding me, hey, this person needs to be recognized. This person's. And a lot of times she's seeing the day-to-day grind more than I am. Either I'm in court or I'm in consultations all day. And so I rely on her to say, okay, who's really outperforming their worth right now, their value. And she's good to tell me, okay, they need to be. And it's easy for her. She doesn't have to spend the money on it. But I appreciate that she brings that to my attention because, money aside, I want people to feel recognized, even if it's, a $20 Chick-fil-A gift card. It may not be a big deal, but just that recognition has allowed the staff to feel part of it.
I love that. I love the way
feel loved.
Yeah, I love the way that that culture rolls. It just feels home.
It
makes work worth going to.
And they go to each other's weddings, and we've all like,
Right.
it is not. And I've always told people, and if they feel like they want to keep their personal life separate, that's up to them. Nobody, even the ones that have come in with a little bit of trepidation to open themselves up and to let them, people know who they are. It doesn't take long for this staff to break them down and say, nope, when you come in here, if you've got problems at home, we want to be the ones to know and help you out with them and let you go and cover for you. And
Yeah, my bilingual gal up front, Jessie, she's been with us. How long's Jessie been with us? 4 months, maybe 5, 6, in there. I don't know. A brief time. And she's getting married next week. And so, yeah,
Congrats to her.
we're all going.
Yeah.
But she became like family that fast. It's just like,
And good credit to you guys.
and it's just that we're just kind of a family around here, and everybody's got each other's back, and that's what I've noticed at Gunnell's, and that's what I've noticed at Westover's, and that's what I like that. I mean, it's just like I want to support that because that's why. There's no question why I would send anybody that had an immigration issue, why I would send them to you. It's that culture, and it's always been there, even when it was just you and Patricia.
Yeah.
And then it's grown around. But I just think that that's the coolest story of survival for those out there. Is culture matters, and everything, in my opinion, is downstream from culture.
And that's maybe another reason why people don't succeed when they go out on their own is that, look, it's a lot. Every attorney, every person in life is not going to be batting 1,000, right? There are times when, there's a clerical error made on an application that has to be fixed. 99.9% of the time, we're not making errors that are going to cost anybody any major things, but you want to keep a client 100% happy, and things are going to happen. But the cool thing about us is that because that culture is built, because the trust is there, because of the family, because of the accountability we take, people don't leave when those things happen. We just say, okay, hey, we're going to solve it. We're sorry. This is something we need to own. We're going to solve it. We're going to pay for it if it needs another application fee or whatever else. And I'm good about doing that. But the biggest complaint I get from every other person that walks in the office that has come from somewhere else is I felt like I was treated like a number, or I didn't think they knew my case, or I was assigned a different person every time I walked in. And I don't feel that way with you guys. And that's the main thing I keep telling my staff. Look, you don't have to be perfect, but you have to be perfect in the way you treat people.
Right. Oh, I like that. I like that. I'm going to use that one today at our chicken competition, blindfold
quote on the wall
competition. I am. I'm going to write that on the wall. I like that. Be perfect in the way you treat people. I like that.